Join the Winnipeg Early Music Society this weekend and experience the sounds and sights of Christmases past in a 3-part series in the unrivaled Victorian parlour of Winnipeg's Dalnavert Museum. Joining me this morning in studio is the Arminda Consort, and just before chatting a bit about this weekend's Music in the Parlour series, we're going to hear a bit of their playing in a 107 Live performance. Take it away. The Arminda Consort live in the Classic 107 studio. And I'm going to welcome to the microphone now Kevin Scott. Very good morning, Kevin.
Thank you very much.
Take one step closer. Hey, thanks so much for being here. Hey, let me start by asking you, would you mind introducing the gang? Who's all here?
Certainly. We got, closest to me is Mark McLaren, and recorder, of course. Graham Spafford, who is bass recorder, and Margaret McKenty, also recorders. Like, we're all sort of all over the spectrum in terms of the different recorder types and sizes.
Well, that's just it. So for those who are listening, I'm sure they could hear the different sonorities, the different tenors of each of the instruments. And what a beautiful sound recorder quartet is. I have to say, I'm a big fan. It's just such an approachable sound, isn't it?
Well, I've always liked the recorder, but I mean, what really did it for me was the first time I heard them in harmony. I went to a Renaissance festival and I heard them and I thought, wow, that's really something else. You know, it's really quite nice.
Yeah, a little bit different than elementary recorder quartet, right? You know, it's a different sort of sound, right?
We have this conversation all the time. I think what ruined the recorder for a lot of people is grade 6.
Yeah.
You know? We've all been there. We've all had grade 6 recorder, and the thing is, like, you know, it's like with any instrument, though. The first time you play it, you don't play it properly. You know, you overblow into it. You know, piano is the same thing. You smash the keys, you just play it. You make noise on it, and that's really what it's there for. So you all together are the Arminda Consort. Tell us a little bit about Arminda. When did it start, and what does it mean, actually? Well, okay. The Early Music Society has been around since 1976, and I think all 4 of us were members at the same time, but didn't really know each other. I knew Margaret a little bit first because I got involved with the singers. But then I'm more of an instrumentalist than a singer anyway, so then I got talking to Mark. Mark and I started off, we were actually called Midwinter Consort at one time. And we've had members come and go, and then Margaret joined us, and I think we were Arminda at that point, and we had a cellist for the longest time, and she's not with us anymore, and so Graham has replaced her. So, like, we're 4 members of WEMS who are all together now. WEMS is not a big society. It's about 30 or 40 people, but that's how it all started.
Can you talk about the early music scene in Winnipeg?
It's a small scene, but it's a very dedicated scene. I think if you go to Montreal, for example, there's hundreds of people, and I don't know about other cities. Margaret, you might have an idea about this, but I think
it's been, as you say, it's a very dedicated scene of people. I mean, there's people who've been doing this for, sort of, I would say 30, 40 years. There was actually a chapter of the American Recorder Society here way back in the Jurassic era. And some of the survivors of that, I think, just kept going into the Winnipeg Early Music Society, which has, I think, recently celebrated its, 40th anniversary or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like you say, it is a small community, but it is a tight-knit one, right?
Yes.
And I mean, this is a really wonderful opportunity for the broader Winnipeg audience to check out what WEMS does, the Winnipeg Early Music Society, and hear your wonderful playing that's coming up at Dalnavert this weekend. We're going to get to that just after hearing a little bit of music. Would you mind playing another? What are we going to hear, just out of curiosity?
Well, what you heard at the beginning was actually, they're both Pretorius, Michael Pretorius. We don't know if he's German or Dutch. We were talking about that. We think German.
Yep, German.
And what we heard was the ballet from Terpsichore. We're going to hear something a little more raucous now, a little bit more. This is a courant, and I don't know if it's from Terpsichore, is it?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Okay.
Yeah, Compendium of Dances, Terpsichore is. Here it is, the Arminda Consort in the Classic 107 studio. Raucous indeed. A courant from Terpsichore, music of Michael Pretorius, performed by the Arminda Consort. So, Kevin, this weekend, the Winnipeg Early Music Society presents 3 concerts. Concerts with a consort. Friday evening, the Arminda Consort, and then 2 by 2 on Sunday matinee, and then the Trilly Ensemble in the evening. Tell us about this weekend's series of performances.
Dalnavert has been very good to us. The Winnipeg Early Music Society, we're both historically minded, and so it was a natural fit. You know, I mean, they do jazz and things like that too. But being a early music person, I think that it sounds so good in the parlour, which is where you'll see us perform. I think what they have in mind is a tour first of all, and then a concert that concludes the night, I think, and that's where we come in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like you say, it is such a fascinating place. I mean, it is truly stepping back in time. This Victorian mansion right in downtown on Carlton. It really sets the mood in a unique way, doesn't it? To hear this music of the past in a really old place, especially by Winnipeg standards. Yeah,
by Winnipeg standards. I mean, it's a shame, we're not in Europe and can't play castles and things like that. But I mean, it is the same vibe, I have to say. When you're in there, you really feel like it's where you should be playing this music.
Now, tell us a little bit more about the program that you'll be presenting Friday night. What other music will people hear? Will it be the recorders, or will there be some other instruments present as well?
Well, normally I play keyboard.
Exactly, you're a harpsichordist, right?
My first instrument's harpsichord. It's a bit, difficult to haul one around, though.
I've heard that before. You can't strap it to your back.
Yeah. So we use a sort of a fake harpsichord. It does the trick. You know. You cover it up with enough stuff, people can't really tell what you're playing anyway, so that's probably what's going to happen. What you'll hear Friday from us is a mix of this stuff, which sounds sort of Christmassy anyway, I think, even though it isn't, and things that are Christmas pieces. We didn't prepare any today, sadly, for you, but we're quite proud of the Christmas repertoire we've got now, because it's not your Jingle Bells type things. It's the things that don't get heard, and wonderful music, in its own right. And every time we make a discovery, it's like, oh, that's fantastic, and then so we should almost be doing Christmas concerts on our own, but maybe we'll start to.
You get to do a little bit of sleuthing, I feel like, as an early music musician, because it isn't quite as accessible, the music. You're concentrating on old musics of the medieval, Renaissance, Baroque eras. Well, what is it about these periods that you enjoy?
It just transports you in time. I think there's just something about it. And the thing is, I've found myself in every time I go to a different city, my first question is, do they have a university? Do they have a music department? Do they have a music library? Mm-hmm. And so in amassing the stuff that we play, I was raiding libraries, absolutely raiding them for things like that. And it was stuff that I didn't know about. It's just, I know this composer and I know he's got this, and look at the arrangement of instruments he's got for this piece. And, that would be good for us. We could adapt it in some way. And that's what we've often done.
And we, the audience, get to reap that reward because
yes.
you've put the legwork in. Now, for anyone listening who's thinking like, you know what, I'm not really an early music type of person. What would you say to them to get them in the door?
I'll say what I say to everybody, which is basically that it is a very easy music to like. Mm. It's not what you think of when you think of classical music. No slur on what
I know what you're saying.
I'm a classically trained musician myself. I love classical music, but the thing is, there's something about the simplicity of it. I think a lot of these tunes are anonymous, and the thing is, you would have to have been a very clever person to write tunes as beautiful as these. And there's just something about that reaches you in a certain part of your soul, I think.
There's something to grab onto, and the thing that I find myself gravitating towards is the idea that so many of these works that exist in the present age are dances.
Yes.
They just get you moving, and you can't help but tap your toe along and just get engaged that way,
That's
right?
right, yeah, absolutely. You dance along, and, recorder groups, people have this thing about the recorder, as we've talked about already, but recorder groups like us are a bit thin on the ground too.
Yeah.
If you stumble on us, Culture Days has been something we've done as well. And my bone of contention with Culture Days is, no, people have to stumble on us. They have to, because if you go to a concert and say there's going to be a recorder group, it might have the opposite effect. It might drive people away, but if you just show up and start playing, flash mob almost them. And then people thought, what is this? We found that a couple of years ago. We played in Grant Park Mall.
Yeah.
We didn't tell them we were going to be there. We just were there.
Yeah.
And people stopped. They stopped their shopping and they sat down, sometimes for half an hour, and really enjoyed what they were hearing. Yeah,
just sit and listen. And that's why I so appreciate you coming down and not quite flash mob style, but taking over the Classic 107 radio airwaves. You've got one more number queued up for us, I think. What's the last selection?
We can give you one. We sort of had this as a backup piece, but this is Dowland. This is,
a little bit of John Dowland.
Yeah, John Dowland, and this is called My Lady Hunsdon's Puff.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes.
All right. Well, here it is. The Arminda Consort performing music of John Dowland live in the Classic 107 studio. The Arminda Consort live in the Classic 107 studio. They perform this weekend as part of Music in the Parlour. The Winnipeg Early Music Society in partnership with Dalnavert Museum. The first performance Friday, December 16th at 7:30 p.m. to 8:30 with two performances on Sunday. More details up at classic107.com under the events tab. Thank you all for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.